Good. I actually am recording the call so that if you want to, and recording the whole screen shot experience here. So if you want to forward this to anybody who's not able to make the call, we can do that.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem. All right, everybody. I see a bunch of people have joined in. We've got 10 plus people already on the call.
All right, I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I might, well, this could be a little bit crazy, but yeah, we'll just maybe just give a couple more minutes because this I don't think will take a full half hour, so we'll just give a few more minutes for everyone to join.
Sure.
On my screen, this is Kathy, it says please sign in.
Yep, that's right. It says please sign in, and it has a login for a username and a password. So I'm gonna walk through it. You're actually seeing my screen right now.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a meeting. This is not an interactive meeting. Luckily, you just get to sit back and observe, and then you'll get a chance to interact next week for sure.
Hey, Brad, it's Jen Day. I'm just seeing connect, go to meeting or session should begin shortly. Is that?
Yes, it should automatically pop back up. But if it doesn't, then you might have to click on something on your screen. You may want to look in your footer for a little flower. If somewhere on the footer there's a flower, you might have to click on that and say go or upload or download or something along those lines.
Or you may just want to X out and try again because I think unless other people are having that issue, I think if you click on the link, it kind of should pop right up and you should see an MPG logo.
Okay, yeah, now I'm in the, okay, now I see it. So please sign in.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
I was just taking taking a list of the attendants from the names that have signed in here, just so you know. I'll send it over to you when it's done.
All right. Well, if you want, do you want to read them really quick, and I'll save people trying to say their name?
Yeah, sure. Hold on one second. Let me just go finish through the list here.
Or if it's easier to send it to me, that's fine.
Let's see. Can I highlight it? I may be able to highlight it. I'm not sure. No, I don't know if I can highlight it. No, I can't highlight it and send it, unfortunately. But I can read it off. Just give me 2 seconds.
You know, don't worry about reading it off because
Okay.
I think that won't attend will very quickly be identified because they won't know how to fill out their timesheets. So I can do some reconciliation on my end. So if you don't mind, I'll just say a few words and introduce you, and then we'll get going.
Sure, absolutely.
Great. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you all have really fun plans for the upcoming Labor Day weekend and take a much-deserved break on Monday for sure. So you may have heard me reference a few times that we are planning to automate our resource management system. And that resource management system involves a process that begins with planning how our resources are going to be used to support our project work and delight our clients. So we do a planning process, and then at the end of the month, you guys were sending in Excel spreadsheets that indicated the time that you had spent against your projects, and that's a manual process, as the planning is. And then we were doing manual variance reporting to say, okay, we planned for 6 days, but we needed to spend 8. Then we're trying to reconcile all of this manually. So we've created now an automated tool that will help us plan, track, and conduct variance reporting for not only the month but the entire project in an automated fashion. And so it begins with us entering in our time on how we spend our time to week. We're going to change it now to week because I don't know about you, but I find that monthly trying to remember all the stuff I did in the month is rather challenging. So we have a tool now that will allow you to enter the time that you spend on a weekly basis. It takes 2 minutes, and all of that will be fed into a bigger database, that will keep track of the time and do all the reconciliation for us automatically, which is really great. We've asked Brad Poehler, who's the president of Princeton Internet Marketing Group, to help us develop an automated tool. There's a lot of other stuff that you guys don't need to worry about when it comes to the planning and the tracking and the variance and all of that. The client leads are going to be working mostly in that regard. But you guys, all of us, need to enter our time because that's how we are going to be compensated. So that process doesn't change, where Suzanne at the end of every month will pull down the report for your time, and employees will just get paid per normal, and associates will still send an invoice in at the end of every month, but it should be a lot cleaner and smoother. So before we jump into the tool, any questions on the purpose, the intent, your role in this?
No.
Okay. And I think once you see the demonstration, you'll see how easy it is, and then you're just kind of done. So again, we're not a shy group. This is all, this is all of us. So if you have any questions or something's not clear, please, shout it out, and we'll walk you through it again. Or you can also review the recorded session at your leisure when it comes right down to doing it. So I'll let Brad do the demonstration, and then I'll just close with the next steps and some key dates, and we'll go from there. Okay?
All right. Hi, everybody. I've met a few of you, I guess, at some of the advisory boards, but we put this together. It is a very simple process, I hope, for all of the team, both the full-time staff and the 1099, to enter the amount of time that they're putting in on any given week for the different projects that they're working on. Basically, in order to get to the page.
Before we begin, Brad, really quick, would you guys? I hearing a lot of interference, so maybe if you could mute your phone, that would be really great, and that way we won't hear that. So thanks.
Yeah, mute your phones. That'd be great. Okay, perfect. All right. So what you do to start is you would go to mpgtime.com. And mpgtime.com is what you're seeing on my screen right now, if you can see my screen. If you can't see my screen, it's relatively simple. Just type into your browser, when you get to a browser, mpgtime.com. And when you get to mpgtime.com, you would type in a username and a password that you'll be given. And I think that Jennifer is working on, or Christina is working on getting those distributed. So the username and password I'm going to use today as an example is for J. Lucas, if that's okay.
Congratulations, Jean.
Yeah, Jean, you've been chosen.
Nice.
I won't tell everybody. I won't tell everybody what your password is.
Do I get some extra stuff for this?
You do. I'm going to tack on some extra hours this month for you.
Thanks.
He doesn't need that.
Okay. So when you log in, you'll go to a page that looks like this. For those of you who can't see my screen, it says "Welcome to MPG Time Tracking," and it says Project Timesheet, and then it shows a list of fields that you can fill out for the clients, the projects, and which days of the week you worked on what clients and projects. As you'll see here, the dates that are showing are 8/16 through 8/22. So basically, on Friday, it shows the previous. It'll show the previous week's days that you can enter data in for, right? So at the end of the week, you could put in information for the previous week. You can't go back a couple of weeks and put in information. You can't put in information for the week that you're in. You need to wait until the week is over, and then you can put in information for that previous week. So you should keep track of your time, and then on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up until the following Friday, you can put in information for for the previous week. So we're looking at a timesheet right now for last week, and I know it's Thursday right now, but end of day tomorrow it will switch over and it'll show from the dates of 8/23 to 8/30, or 8/29 rather. Does everybody understand that? Does that make sense? That you're putting in hours for the previous week only?
Yeah. I'm sorry, this is Christopher. Is it now a good time to ask questions about that, or is there a
you can go ahead and ask a question, absolutely.
So would there be a way that it would give you the projects from the week before so that you weren't re-entering the project name, so that, like, for instance, I went in and populated for this week myself, but I had to start all over?
Right. Now, it's a very simple process, and I'll show you how easy it is to put in the names of the projects that you're working on. Basically, what you would do, and I'll show this right now, is you would select the client. So let's say we wanted to select Merck, and now all the projects that are currently under Merck will pop up here. So I could do, let's say the GI Stars project. And then I would select, how many hours on what days of the week I worked on GI Stars, right? And so on Monday I might have worked 3 hours on it, and on Wednesday I worked 1 hour on it, okay? And now I could just simply add another project, and then I could go down to, if I have another Merck project, go down to Merck, do the sales strategy, support, and then maybe I did, 2 hours on Monday and 5 hours on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. And maybe there's a comment relating to that, which was had to put in to meet with client or whatever. You don't necessarily have to do anything in the comment section, but if you do have something very important to mention, you can put it into your comment section.
I suppose my question is more about, like, for instance, each of us tend to work on not the same projects every week, but many of us have reoccurring themes that
right.
If there was a way that it could sort of remember them and post those for you each week, so that if you had to add to it, you could, but otherwise you just sort of have that given list. And then
Yep. It's definitely a function that we could add, and not in version 1.0, but in the next version, we're going to get a lot of feedback from all the group as they use it, and as they use the backend as well. Whoever just logged on needs to use their phone. Sorry.
Got it. And then just one other sort of quick question, which you might cover in a minute, but you mentioned that it's in 1 hour increments.
Yes.
So if we work 15 minutes on something, would we just tag it as an hour?
That is a very good question. I'm gonna ask Jennifer to answer that one.
Yeah, if you can hear me, there's a lot of interference. I guess that, I didn't really anticipate us working in, such small increments. So we could add them in smaller increments, sure.
Feels like it's already a big jump going from days to hours.
Half-hour increments would work.
Yeah.
Pardon me? Half-hour?
Half-hour or 15 minutes, because what happens is you might just focus on something for a half hour and then you move on to the next. Conference calls sometimes are only half hour. You'll just end up rounding everything up to an hour, which will make you go over a lot.
Sure. Okay. That's good.
Hey, Jen, it's Jen Day. The other question that I had is relative to the project list, when it says projects being currently worked on. So, every once in a while something might pop up from an old project, a current client, but an old project. Is there an opportunity, or I guess that would go in the comments section?
No, all of Christina's going to be doing maintenance, and we carry a lot of clients, they're all going to be carried in the system. we can either hide or unhide them. So yeah, if something old pops up, it still will be on the drop-down list for you. We're not going to manage it like really prescriptive. And right now, what we do is we'll carry those clients. We also have what we're calling, you guys are familiar with the highly likely clients, which are the blue ones. We think they're going to happen, and then we have the pending ones, so that we have an archive of the old ones, and then we have inventory of what could be new. So hopefully we're always covered. If it's really like super old, then there is a place in there where you can add like not listed if it's really super old, but that shouldn't really happen.
Yeah, old or new. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it might not. There might be some preparatory stuff that's happening, or an introductory conference call, and on the old Excel spreadsheet, it might not necessarily been there, but whoever's managing it.
Yeah.
In that particular instance, you would select not listed, and then nothing assigned. You'd say your 1 hour, and then in the comment box you would say worked on Merck drug project, right? And then that would be the notation. That would be one of the better uses of the comments box.
Thank you. I have one other question. Can I ask it now, or do you want me to hold?
Sure.
So is there, as we're filling this in for a certain project, is there anywhere on the screen or before we close out that we would see accumulation of all of our time against that project?
So on the right-hand side, oh, you mean accumulation of all of your time relating to all time?
Yeah, like all for the month, for instance, since we tend to track time by month. If I'm assigned 8 days to a project and I'm coming up on that 4th week, I mean, it's got to be real time, and that's why we're doing this, but I'd still like to know where I was tracking relative to the 8 days that I was assigned.
Right. So there is functionality outside of this that provides all of that information. So we're not training you on that quite yet, but yes, there is a reporting mechanism, Jen, that you can track your time by month, by project, whatever. So that's why we're doing this, because we're going to map out, how much time each person's supposed to spend on the life of the project, and then all of this will true up against it.
So
it's not
go back
I have
a
a
quick
question.
second to Jennifer's notes about the item list, the project list. It's like in Amerisource, the ABC list. The go-to-market isn't actually in that list. Is that list created from the big master Excel worksheet?
Yeah, so Christina, what she's doing now is we're doing our September and October planning still in our Excel format. So she's the one who's maintaining the system. So she's going to take, all the clients and make sure everything's in there as it should be. I'm surprised go-to-market's not in here, because she already did that with previous spreadsheets. So I guess you're not seeing it.
What's go-to-market? What is that under?
ABC. But Christina will maintain the system, so everything that's on the spreadsheet will be in here for us to get started. So yeah, if it's not on there, that's just a Christina.
Hey, Jen, Pat.
This is Kathy. This is Kathy. I have a question. Under it says billable days. Now, if I call a client that I worked with like last year, like 3M, and I do try to talk to them, and I talk to them for a half an hour, there wouldn't be a mistake like billing them for that time, because I'm just
no, not at all. Billable days is really a term that is used mostly with our associates, because they are paid by the day. So, and we bill our time to the client P&L. So we don't bill them, like they're not going to get a bill because you talk to them, but billable means time is going to go up against the expenses for a given project. So, and then that's how we manage our P&L, but the client never sees that. There's a whole other process that we do, to invoice our.
Hey, Jen, it's Pat. How about for
the 1099 guys like me that would, let's say, go to an MPG meeting?
Yeah, so there is a drop down under the MPG as the client. Then
Okay.
you'll see, yeah, there we go. MPG as a client, and then it would be, usually that's like we would consider that business development. That's how we've been considering those advisory meetings, Pat, as BD. So then you would just bill that way.
So if I go to a meeting for a day and a half, you just put down, whatever the time frame is,
Yep.
1.5 days MPG BD.
Yep.
Right. So what I would do in that situation is you could do it one of two ways. You could either do, if it's 1.5 days, you could do 8 hours. That's considered a full day, and then the next day you could do 4 hours. That would be a day and a half. Or you could do it. The other option is to do to add another project and also call that that MPG business dev, and then on that same day do 4 hours. And so you basically, for the same meeting, you've done 12 hours or a day and a half of work.
So
yeah, I think option one's probably the better way to go. You just split your time over the week.
But do it over hours. Do it hours, not days. Not
we're trying to. There's a reason we have to do hours because we have to define like in a day.
So a quarter of a day is 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I heard some other questions being attempted. No?
So that once you've added all of your hours, then you just click on Submit Days Worked, and okay. So the not listed, actually, I have to put something assigned to it, so it's not letting us do the not listed. I'll fix that. It'll put it there.
You would pick MPG, would be the client.
Right. Okay, so the client would be MPG, and then this would be the not listed. Okay. And then switch it for. And then it takes a minute to sync with the system. Could somebody mute their phone? I'm hearing a scratching.
Dancing.
Okay. All right, and then and now the day's been submitted, and that is now it's on the back end. So your hours are saved now, and that's it. That's how easy it is. Every week you just come in here, you go down your list, and then you submit it, and then it's done.
Hey, Brad,
So
what if you submit and you realize you did something in error? Could you go back in and resubmit?
So the recommendation then is to just contact the support team and just reach out to Christina, and Christina could go into the back end and make modifications to the timesheet.
Okay, thanks.
So just if you did something in error, the reason that we leave it up on the screen, for the session is so that you can see it. But that's really if you forgot something or you had to tack something onto it, or God forbid you forget to do your timesheet one week and then it goes into the next week, you'd have to reach out to corporate to have them submit the hours for it.
How do to roll this out?
Great question. So we will begin on Friday, September 5th. So that week, and again, you're not going to, like it's the way you were doing the old timesheets, all of that methodology is still the same. It's just a different tool. So Friday, September 5th at the end of the day, you can just go in and do this really quick, and then it'll just be every Friday, Brad. I think they're going to get a little link out to them, correct, to remind them?
Well, so on, I think the reminders go out on Monday.
Okay,
we've set up email reminders to be sent out on Monday, and actually that has been activated. So we're going to send out a test, I believe, this Monday to everybody as an email reminder. So you could ignore that first email, but I just want to make sure everybody gets it. So does today, you'll see a sample reminder coming in on Monday, and I'm sure it'll cause a little confusion, Jennifer, just as a heads up. But I do need to test the system so that that automated reminder happens.
And so say they get the reminder on Monday. Is that for the previous week? That's their last?
Yeah, that's for the previous week. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And do you want us to answer if we get the email on Monday just as the test so that you can make sure we're communicating properly? Or is it just really a one-way communication on Monday?
That'll be a one-way communication, although I should probably set up a response to automatically go to Christina. So I will. I'll have to work that out with Jennifer. We'll figure out, and then we'll send out a little notification to everybody as to what to do when they get it.
So we should assume that the August time is going to be done with the old system. That this is a rollout really to September. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Everything's like as per usual for August. So you'll send out your last, manual spreadsheet as the normal process. With again, associates will always have to send an invoice at the end of every month. So you can't get off the hook for that. But you don't need to worry about filling out that blue timesheet anymore. But just at the end of every month, fill out your invoice and send it to Suzanne as usual.
Will this also then, Jen, someday in version 5 or 6 be sort of how you plan as well, so it'll sort of encompass both?
Yeah, we actually have project managers are going to be exposed to the full functionality of this system, which includes the planning, the variance, the reporting, etc. We just didn't want to drag everybody through that today because it's not everyone needs to worry about that. So that's already taken place, and you'll see that. But I do like your comment on for version 2, for this particular interface, it would be nice, and Brad, I'm not expecting this for this version, but as we continue to grow this tool, Christopher's login could be associated with certain clients, because that's kind of how we do things. Like Jean works on a lot of Merck, Christopher works on a lot of ABC, Jen works a lot on J&J. It's something for us to consider. I like that suggestion. And in Christopher's case, he's like in perpetuity. He's assigned to certain projects, so he can't escape. So I like that. And then I also like the suggestion of maybe somehow on this timesheet that we can somehow see the accumulation of time against each of those projects for that person. But again, that might be too crazy, but that would be cool too.
Yeah, I would love to be able to see to that point, be able to see it like across the work stream. And I'm sure the project manager's entry might show all the people that are working across the work stream and that gathering of time.
Yes.
And then lastly, like the individual days when we're inputting the hours, maybe if it's not a drop down and more of a manual entry, then people could put in 2.5 or 2.25, or it would be
that's right.
more,
we wanted minute increments too. Okay, good.
Now, was it 15-minute or 30 minutes, or is that for further discussion?
Does it have to be a drop down, or can it be a manual entry?
We've just run into issues with manual entries of erroneous characters entering into it and it not calculating correctly. So it's possible we could do it. We could do it with a manual entry. It would have to be version 2 to do that, though.
Right. Then I would say, if I can make a suggestion, 15 minutes would be great.
Okay. So I think we actually had that set up at one point. I'm remembering that it said hours and minutes next to it. I'll see if I have another version that has that.
Okay, good.
Jen, can I ask the question? I know the email is going to come out on Mondays, but you're saying that on a Friday you could start inputting for that week. I'm just thinking of times like traveling, just maybe off, not the exception and not the rule, but times where you might be gone for over a week or whatever. If you would be able to key it before then, or
yeah, but you can go on MP. So pretend you are not going to be around Monday, or you're not going to. So you can always go to mpgtime.com You don't have to wait for the alert. But the week doesn't open up until close of business Friday. Do you know what I mean? But so you could go in, over the weekend. You can go in on Monday. If you're traveling and on vacation, they're going to miss a week, but then you're not doing any client work anyway. So that would be counted as vacation. So yeah, I think we'll have to see how those things play out, and we may need to allow a little bit more flexibility on when people can enter their time.
Is it possible that it just shows like 4 weeks at a time or something of that sort, so you're not required to do it in that single entry week, to Shonda's point?
I think, when we just decided kind of the vision for this is that we were trying to get away. We really would like to track time every week because it's that when you're managing resources against a project, right? So you can't really wait a month to know that you're in trouble. So we really wanted to kind of have the time flowing in on a weekly basis so that we could say, oh my God, we planned for 6, we're already at 5, and we have another 2 months to go. We've got to do something. We need to know that right away versus waiting for the end of the month to figure it out. So the weekly time increments is really important. The time you spend in 1 week, the time you spend in a week is the time you spend. That's not going to change. You know what I mean? So
I think it just flagged for me because I saw the notice from last week, but I waited until this week thinking we were having this meeting, and so now last week is gone.
But yeah, but you don't need to. Yeah.
Yeah. So that probably won't be the norm, but
well, there's always going to be exceptions, and that's why Christina can get in and do whatever she wants to the system. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like if you can't get your time or something happens that you'll never have that opportunity again, and especially for our associates that you'll never be paid. That's not the case at all. So I think we're going to have to see how this goes. I will admit we're managing this on a pretty tight window because we really, we don't want it to be, oh, Thursday of the next week, and you're just now putting your time in for that previous week. That doesn't help us manage the flow effectively. So we're admittedly being tight, but do we have to be that tight forever? No. I mean, I figure let's just try it, and you guys are free to cry uncle. We're testing this, so your feedback is valuable. You don't have to be stuck with something if it doesn't work or you don't like it. Your feedback means a lot because we're going to have lots of versions of this as we grow, for sure. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, don't just feel like, oh, I got to suck it up. Seriously, call me with your feedback as we all interface. I'm going to be doing the same thing you are. I have to put my time in too. And we'll continue to enhance, and Brad will be kept busy. Okay? So I'm sensitive to the time. I know we're all very busy, but let's give it a try and see how it goes. I think it's going to be great. By the way, all the back-end stuff, it's just wonderful because all this time comes in and we have visibility and there's no surprises, and that's what we're shooting for, is just to manage our resources really effectively in real time. So I really thank you very much in advance for your teamwork and jumping in here, and please give me your feedback as we go through the journey. Okay? All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. And thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye-bye.